we are in the attic, and this one is going to be different than my normal videos. Not going to be in the woods, not going to be with the truck, not going to be outdoors doing anything. This video, I just wanted to take a little bit of time and talk to you about the space that I create content in. I know some of you are also documenting your trips, and I've gotten questions about software that I use and equipment that I use to make YouTube videos and edit photos. And so this one is kind of for those of you that are content creators. I think spaces matter. Spaces that are conducive to creativity make me want to create more. So let's start with the essentials. Over here we've got the fridge. Someone asked me what this was on one of my live streams. This is actually a humidor. I've got some cigars that I keep in here. You know, like the one in this box was when my son was born. Won't ever smoke those. They're just keepsake cigars. I do have some in here that I will smoke. Lots of little trinkets and stuff that I think is cool. My son's got one of his Pokemon cards up here. So this was my Father's Day gift. Awesome. Various Legos and stuff that me and my son have built. Got some prints by Artist Jones. If you don't know who he is, he takes like thrift store art and modifies it to show like robots and stuff. Super cool. You guys may have seen this on the channel. If you are interested in getting any of this merch, let me get over here on the light so we can see. Illustrated by Matt Zappani, printed and shipped by Becker Supply. July 15th is your cutoff date. Gotta order before the 15th. So there's the plug for that, link down in the description for that. And then you're probably noticing a theme here. Big time Star Wars fan. Got the lightsaber hilts, picked up at Disney World. This is not from YouTube. This is actually from a group of collaborators, YouTube collaborators, that gave me this for the video Facing Fear we did on the channel. Super cool of them to do that. And if you've seen that video, you may recognize this. This is the picture and the frame that we got done in that. I keep that up here as well. TV over here. I love using this for not just watching movies and stuff, but also previewing YouTube content. One sec while I catch up on my trail newbie.
Are you crazy? Who sleeps inside their car? They laughed.
These desks are insanely inexpensive compared to other standing desk options. These are just the Husky workbenches from Home Depot, and super sturdy, solid wood on the top. It's not like any sort of laminate or vinyl or anything. It's actual wood. So I love these desks. My overhead light is like the cheapest one of these you can get on Amazon, called Mount Dog. Now the stand it comes with is trash, so I replaced it with this small rig stand, which is much more substantial. So for my live streams and podcast, I use these Universal Audio SD1 microphones. It's just a really great podcast kind of warm microphone. I run that. From there, I run into the Universal Audio Volt, and it's a great setup. Most of what makes the sound good in a mic is going to be in the post-processing, but having good quality mics and preamps definitely helps. My main workhorse computer is this Mac Studio. Desk lighting, these are by Elgato, this one and this one. So you can adjust, you can see here, the intensity, and then you can change it from like warm to cool. Boba Fett down here, he's empty-handed. We need to fix that. Typically, he's holding my Apple Pencil. Yeah, I have a problem. Okay, let's talk storage for just a minute. This big boy is made by OWC, and I've got it configured in a RAID 5 configuration. What this means is inside we've got 4 16 terabyte drives, and at any given point, one of these drives can fail, and we won't lose anything because I'm running one drive of redundancy. So like, let's say A failed, I could remove that drive, grab a backup drive that has nothing on it, and put it in here, and the other 3 drives would rebuild the RAID, replace the data that's on that, so I could get back up and running. When I get my footage, the first thing that happens is it goes on to the Mac Studio locally on this SSD internal. From there, I make a copy of all that footage and I put it on the RAID drive. That gives me that one drive of redundancy. And then I have a program called Carbon Copy Cloner. And what that does is it backs up, or it clones the RAID Thunder Bay to this drive. I've got a copy locally that I can edit from, a copy here with a redundant drive, and a backup here. I run Final Cut Pro, it's what I work out of, and I sometimes after I make like a full-length video, I'll make some reel content, like for reels or YouTube shorts, something like that, out of the videos. And so I thought we could just take a minute and I'll kind of show you how I do that. So I'm recording my screen, and then I'm also using my camera right here to record myself. So hopefully you kind of get a good idea. But what I've got open here right now is my Witch of the Ozarks project. Typically I run all of my media on a separate display, but for this situation, it makes sense for me to do it all in one since I'm recording the screen. So I'm just gonna kind of show you how I've got this set up. In terms of organizing footage, when I go on a trip, so this was Benji's Sony footage that he got. Then I'll put my drone footage. I've got some sound effects, various graphics, the music that I'm using for the video, and then my Sony. And then if I'm using any sort of stock or clips from another YouTube video, like in this one, I had some stock footage that I used. And then I've got my voiceover recordings, and then this is just everything in a folder. So I'll separate it like that. And then you can see this is like what a project looks like. The creeks are haunted.
It's called Devil's Elbow, one of the creeks.
Okay, so that's kind of how that's set up. And I will say, so what you're seeing over here on this side, where it says Baker Overland Projects, these are all the videos. Once I finish them, I move them to the hard drive. Whereas this library here is my local drive that I'm working on. So once a project is completed, it moves on to my library that's on my external drive. Now, the downside with doing it this way is when you move from an SSD to a spinning drive, you slow down dramatically. And you can see here when I jump between libraries, sometimes I get that beach ball of death. But the benefit for me in this case, it outweighs the negative, because I've got so much footage and I don't like deleting from my catalog. I like to be able to go back, and sometimes I'm missing a piece and I need to reuse it. For example, in this Ozark Witch video, these shots right here, these were not from that trip. These were actually from another video that I did called Solo. You may have seen it on the channel. And as I was editing, it just made sense at that moment. I was like, man, we're missing something. We're missing, like, I need some transitional footage, and I didn't get it on the day. And so because I don't delete my content, I was able to go back, find footage that worked for that sequence that was a similar time of year, and it filled in that gap. So that's why I don't like to delete any of my stuff. Okay, so let's say we're gonna make a reel. How would I go about that? Well, first, what I do in Final Cut is I'd grab my project folder, which is what you see down here in the timeline. And for me, I'm going to go in here to duplicate project as. And so we're going to call this Reels. And then I'm going to switch to vertical, because obviously we're doing with social. But now if I switch to vertical, it'll just have a small little horizontal clip in the middle of all the videos. I don't like that. I like it to go full screen. So I'm going to use this Smart Conform. Additionally, since I shoot everything in 4K, I'm going to go ahead and bump the resolution to 1080 by 1920. The reason that I do that is since it's 4K, I have enough resolution to bump that up a little bit. I can't go all the way to 4K because, that's a horizontal and I'm cropping down vertical. But I can push this up a little bit and it still looks good. 24 looks good. Apple ProRes, good. Okay. Now, we just let this thing cook. So what this is actually doing here is it's taking all of my footage from that video and it is trying to determine what the subject or the focus of each clip is, and it's making a decision on how to crop that clip to show vertically the most relevant data within the clip. Now, this is not perfect, and you'll see here in a minute, I'm going to have to go in and adjust where this is cropped on several clips. But it does a pretty good job. And it saves a lot of time just going ahead and taking that horizontal footage. If you want to switch it to a vertical crop, it is a 318% scale. And so I would have to take every single clip that I have and scale it individually 318%. You just imagine how long that takes. And so this is a way that I can go ahead and get the scale done for all of the clips, and then I may just have to adjust the focus left or right, depending on what I want in frame. Sometimes we create some keyframes as well and pan the footage if I'm wanting to see more of that horizontal crop in vertical. Okay, so let's take a look at this first clip. Now we can see it's kind of cropped, you know, where it's not showing the full cemetery sign, not showing the full truck. So here's probably what I would like to do in this situation. I'm going to grab this and pull it all the way over here to where you can see the end of it. And we're going to set a key point for that position. And then I want this to pan across the frame all the way to the end here. We'll say right there. And I want this to move all the way over to, we'll say like right here. I think that's probably good. Okay, so we'll take a look at this and we'll kind of see how this looks.
Some say the creeks are haunted.
It's called.
Yeah, that's great. I like that. Okay, and then we move here. I'm good with the framing on that.
Of the creepiest name.
Good with the framing on that. Good with the framing on that. See, this is the nice thing with the Smart Conform, is it does a lot of this for
Up
you.
with the weird name.
Not by a frightening mythic phantom.
I like that. For me, I want this to be a little bit more scooted over. So I'm going to move it this way just a smidge. I like getting that bokeh in the background. So let's see.
Phantom. This isn't a ghost story.
Good, I like that, but I want to see the camera a little bit more, so I'll pan this way.
This isn't a ghost story. Well,
That's good.
at least not how you would think.
I like all the framing on that. All right, let's take a look at this.
So many people killed. They've now
All right, that, I'm okay with that.
said there's
I'm okay with that.
heads bobbing in the water. You can see.
These water...
I think I want to pick a headstone. So I had 2 headstones framed in this. I think I'm going to pick this one. I like that one. Additionally, I want this to be more centered. That's good. I'm okay with that. All right, let's see.
These waters have sanded stone beds.
The sun, I want more offset on this, like kind of to the side. Let's try this.
Waters have sanded stone beds, carving curious routes since the valleys formed. Upon this ancient stone, countless generations have gathered to connect.
Good. I want to see my zero breeze a little bit more in the shot. Okay.
Generations have gathered to connect. Their stories were born of this water.
Okay, now clearly this part's not going to work for us. So this is our text that was, designed for a wider screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale this down. Something that looks better on here. I'm also going to move it up a smidge. Let's try this.
Their stories were born of this water.
Good, but I think I'd still go down a little bit more. And again, you got to remember, this is for a mobile device. So.
Their stories were born of this water.
About 2 miles before you get to Mayfield Cemetery.
There's this big well-shaped
Okay, good. Another deal with the graphics needing to scale down a bit. No big deal.
grave, lots of stones around it, and that's where Eliza was supposed to be buried.
That's Eliza Jane Laycock Thomas, a woman from the area who records say died in 1897.
Yeah, so this is looking really good. I like the framing. Kind of push through it real quick. Titles look good, and let's see how we transition out.
The witch, but she's not buried in the graveyard.
Perfect. Just threw it up here.
Some say the creeks are haunted.
So yeah, I mean that's really how I do reels. I know that there are people that would probably recommend, shooting content intentionally to be a reel, and I do that sometimes. I did go shoot this vertically intentionally for reels. Put my camera on the tripod, turn it on its side. But more often than not, the type of content that I spit out on social media, it's just marketing content for my YouTube channel, for this channel right here. Defining the first 30 seconds to 60 seconds of the video informs everything that's to come. So I spend a lot of time on that first opener, really dialing in the edit of that. And then from there, I kind of know where I'm going after that. I try to have an idea where the story that I want to tell, assuming that the video is one where it's a specific story to be told, like the Ozark Witch, or like Solo, when I did that one, going out and playing the music. I knew what I was going there to do. However, on trips like Bear Encounter, that video, obviously we didn't know we were going to encounter a bear, and that kind of became the story. That's kind of what Overland YouTube content, at the end of the day, that's kind of what it all is. You go out with a general plan of a place you're going to go camp or a thing that you want to go see, but inevitably it's the unexpected encounters on that journey that end up becoming the story. I realize this video in particular is going to be a very small subset of my audience, and I hadn't done one of these before, but I had some time this week and thought I'd put it together, and I've had a few people reach out and ask me about mics and audio preamps, and computers and software, and it's not a lot of people. More of you definitely want to know about overlanding gear and locations and that sort of thing, but enough of you that I wanted to throw you guys a bone and show you a little bit of the space, show you a little bit of the process, and then let you get back to your day. I appreciate you guys watching this. I want to say thank you real quick to our members. We've got 20 members right now, and I'm super honored that you guys have chosen to support the channel. I'll throw all your names up here, of course. And for those of you that would like to support what we're doing here at Baker Overland, man, I would just love that. And I'll give you some cool stuff in return. Give you some discounts on merch, give you access to GPS coordinates, Slack access, group camp invites, that sort of thing. Things that people said that they would like. Quick sneak peek, I have some planning that I've been working on for a Colorado trip that's coming up next week. We're going to go spend a week in Colorado, make some content, working with some cool companies on that trip, and I can't wait. Absolutely can't wait. So y'all stay tuned. Cool stuff is definitely in the pipe for Baker Overland. Oh, last thing I want to tell you, I have revitalized the podcast that I've been doing. It used to be called Roundtable. Now it's just called the Baker Overland Podcast. And it is content made specifically for the podcast format. It's not just the audio from my Roundtable live streams anymore. Now I'm actually recording and storytelling content specifically for that format, sharing some clips from videos. The last episode was called A Witch and a Fletch. And it's a mixture of content from the Ozark Witch video, as well as an interview with Jason Fletcher from All Things Overland. And next week's that's coming up is a piece of the conversation is going to be from my live stream I did just the other day with Josh Raleigh from Overland AZ. He's out in Arizona. And so anyways, it's a whole new format, and I'm really trying to make that appealing for people who want to consume content during a commute or in their cubicle or down by the creek, wherever you happen to be listening to podcasts. So definitely check that out, Baker Overland Podcast on Apple Podcasts. Appreciate you guys. Have a great week. And remember, the more you camp, the less deer aliens abduct.